Often considered one of the worst movies ever made, often considered one of the worst, if not absolutely the worst adaptation of all time, though someone else took that crown recently, didn't they? And it's been panned by critics and fans alike. Now, before we go into this, I'm going to state my position. Yes, it's a bad adaptation. Is it a bad movie? Not so much. It at least did manage to be entertaining. Um, I will say that Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo actually did act how Mario and Luigi could conceivably act, you know. So their performances were actually pretty good. Dennis Hopper, well, at the time that this came out, Bowser King Koopa didn't really have a whole lot of personality, defined to him anyways. So, I guess whatever's excusable. But at the same time, well, his performance was the typical over the top Dennis Hopper stuff, and some people love it, some people hate it. Um, Now, moving on to some of the things that people think they got wrong that they might not actually have gotten that far off. Um, One of the things that people always like to pick on, well, actually, a lot of people like to pick on, is the princess. That it's the wrong chick, blah, 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 yada, yada, that's not her. Well, in a way, yes. I mean, they do specifically say it's Princess Daisy. Now, the reason that this threw a lot of people off at the time is because at the time of this movie's release, none of the games over here had Princess Daisy in them yet. However, interestingly enough, she actually had been in a couple of games that had only been out yet in Japan. So that actually implies they might have done some homework there. But is a love interest for Luigi, so that much is accurate. Now the whole dinosaur comet thing. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of off the wall. But there's a lot of stuff in there. The boots, people said, oh, the boots are simple. Yes and no, because see, the Mario Brothers in the games are capable of jumping to heights that no human being is capable of normally doing. So you got to find a way to do that without it seeming corny and ridiculous. Of oh, hey, look, we have superpowers now. The character of Toad was actually quite interesting because people said that he's just a human with a stupid haircut and a guitar and a harmonica or whatever, musical crap, who then gets turned into a Goomba. And yeah, we're going to talk about the Goombas in a second here too. But when you look at him, he does have that rather vocal, upbeat personality that Toad was always depicted as having. And when you look at his haircut, when you actually look at his haircut from the top, it actually does resemble a mushroom cap. So, that's actually pretty clever. As for the Goombas, I know a lot of people like to pick on how they look, and yes and no. See, with the Goombas, what they were actually going for, and you can actually see it in the faces of some of them, is kind of a crossover between the Goombas and the Koopa Troopas. Um, so that explains their appearance. And as for their height, well, they actually are about that tall when you first start the Mario Brothers games until you get a hold of a mushroom. And when you look at them, they are actually as tall, if not taller, than Mario. So, short of Mario getting the mushroom here and growing huge, or Koopa somehow terrorizing people with his army of little ankle-biting, toothy mushrooms, yeah. That's how they're going to look. There were various settings in the game, or in the movies that were in the games. Keeping in mind, this movie was released in, after Mario 3 even came out. So, you got the ice sliding, which was apparently based on the level in Mario 3 where you're sliding on the ice. You have the desert area. You have, well, I'm not sure where the nightclub comes in. You got me there. Not in the fact that the chick who stole their meteorite piece was named after the thing that fires the eggs. But, God help me, I can never remember the name of it, though. It's been so long. The Um, what else am I thinking of here? Oh yeah, the mushroom that they got from the fungus that was apparently the former king. Um, well, let's be honest here. You can't exactly have a movie where all of a sudden, they grab the mushroom and what, they eat it and somehow they grow huge. No, that suspension of disbelief would be kind of hard there. So what do they have it do? Essentially what it does in the game, aside from make you grow, gives you an extra hit. They use it, and it takes a hit that normally would have ended them from that devolution gun. So, okay, this isn't going to be a terribly long video, and I'm really not going to try to defend this thing in depth per se. It is a fun game, or a fun movie, and a fun game, yes. It's a fun movie. It's interesting on its own. It's not a good adaptation, though. In places, they actually did get quite clever. See, I'm one of the few people that actually thinks that there are certain things that do work as live action adaptations. I know a lot of people say they never should, but there are things I think work. Mario, however, especially for back then, was not one of them. Um, no, they never really should have tried that, but there was pressure, there was marketing. Hollywood decided, hey, why don't we get in on this because everybody likes it, and then on top of that, you pair them with directors who are kind of control freaks and who would often do. It was directed by two people too, and one would often make a decision or decide to do something without talking it over with the other, and then there'd be fights, and the movie took a lot longer than it was supposed to film. Went over budget, which if you look at the budget this movie had, yeah, they really weren't given that much to work with in the first place. And let's face it, something like Mario would require a big budget by any standard. So we wound up with that. Fun movie to watch. Frankly, in my opinion, it actually outdoes Troll 2 in the so bad it's good category. The best worst movie. But it does suck as an adaptation. I'm not gonna lie, but I do appreciate the creativity that they kind of delved into in trying to make some of the stuff work. They didn't just completely write it off as too ridiculous. It's like, yeah, it's like we want to do it, but with the money we have and the technology we have, we can't do it. So let's kind of cheat it, and that's how they got some of what they got. I don't know. I just don't think it's that far off in some cases. Um, it's a case of I think they did try to put some effort into it, a lot more than people give them credit for, and you know, I just felt that I should point that out and maybe put things into a little bit of perspective. Um, anyways, that being said, yep, that's it for this one. So, next video you're probably going to see is going to be my top 5, and I'm still throwing the list together, so, oh boy. It's a pretty close race in a couple of places, so, see ya.